Many people are drawn to the Middle Ages. No advertising on every corner, no offices or computers, just the romance of the Crusades, a vibrant life, and fresh air. But imagine that a medieval enthusiast actually found himself in that era. Your flight to the past departs in just a couple of minutes, so stay tuned, because we'll begin with a bit of historical background. The starting point of the Middle Ages is traditionally considered to be the year 476, when the Western Roman Empire fell. They are believed to have ended around the year 1500 with the fall of Byzantium and the arrival of the Renaissance. 1,000 years passed turbulently. Crusaders captured Jerusalem, America was discovered, Europe suffered from Viking raids, and later the plague paid everyone back in full. Usually, such videos claim that life was good only for the aristocracy, offering to look at things through the eyes of a commoner. But we'll do the opposite. Let's imagine that you are indeed an ordinary English knight during the Crusades, someone who, logically, should live rather easily and even happily. Your day then begins around 5 in the morning with food and exhausting training. After all, if you're a knight who respects himself, you're almost obliged to sleep in your armor, which, by the way, weighs from 30 to 50 kilograms. These were not the light chain mails of modern cosplayers. While modern paratroopers struggle to carry 30 kilograms including a backpack, knights never had such luxury. Their armor offered no real comfort, it covered even the limbs. The Royal Society once conducted an experiment. They dressed people in knightly plate armor and put them on a treadmill. Even walking required 2.3 times more energy. And while running, the energy cost nearly doubled again, so if you dream of becoming a knight based on pictures online, remember, every attempt to move will feel twice as heavy as normal. And if you are a self-respecting knight, you always carry a sword. The myth that it weighed 18 kilograms is nothing more than a legend. A good hand-and-a-half battle sword rarely exceeded 2 kilograms. Logically so, a child trained from early age to fence simply wouldn't be able to lift a 20-kilogram piece of iron. Speaking of children, as a knight, you most likely have a squire, a boy who carries your metal gear and assists in everything. This loyal lad dreams of the day he becomes an adult and gets a chance to be knighted. But only if he's of noble birth. Commoners often stayed squires for life and were rarely allowed to become knights. Daily life aside, we've trained, dressed with the help of the squire, and now we think about becoming a crusader. Being a knight is not enough, the title of crusader must be earned. And the hierarchy is strict. You don't go on a crusade without the Pope's order. Even with such an order, you still need permission from your liege lord, for an ordinary knight is almost always someone's vassal. So we put on our armor, mount the horse, take our squire, and ride to our suzerain for approval. Yet he may not be happy to lose a knight for several years. Luckily, going on a crusade was considered a duty before God, and in 99 cases out of 100, you would be allowed to go. However, even then we are not crusaders yet. We must visit a church and take the vow for the overseas campaign. There, priests will ask about your sins and money. 3 years of travel require food and funding. If you have a family at home, they too must somehow survive without a breadwinner for all those years. But do not worry, as a noble knight your sins will be forgiven, and they will help with expenses as well. The church did not abandon its warriors. There was even the Saladin tithe. Every European had to give 10% of their income to fund the Crusades, or risk excommunication. And that was practically a death sentence at the time. Some people even sold all their possessions to join a crusade. But let's assume we are a fortunate knight with capital, and the church, as a pleasant bonus, takes our family under its protection for the entire campaign. This means no moneylender will dare demand debts from our wife while we are away. And if the house is robbed, the church will turn the entire town upside down to find the culprit. The clergy did everything to ensure knights thought only of Jerusalem. So after conversations and long prayers, we take the vow and officially become crusaders. Now we can paint a white cross on our cloak, and even the poorest beggar will bow respectfully, recognizing our status. Then back to routine. From our manor in Manchester to Jerusalem is 5,000 kilometers. And we have options: cross the English Channel and ride overland to Italy, then sail, or go by sea directly from here. But even now trouble begins. Even with church support, one still had to pay extra for a decent place on a ship. yet real problems await in Jerusalem and the Middle Ages in general. First, Allied Europe was far from united. England and France fought over Normandy and joined the Third Crusade separately, not as allies. The famous Frederick Barbarossa died en route, and instead of 10,000 German warriors, only a small portion reached Saladin's lands. Similar things happened often. Allies could fight each other, or with the Rus, or other Christians whom Catholics considered equal enemies. So it's quite possible that the adventures of our English knight would end on the sword of some Greek rebel before he even reached the Holy Land. On the way lurked malaria, a disease killing millions even today. Among Crusaders, the mortality was much higher. Barbarossa's son, Duke Frederick, reached Antioch but died from it. Roughly every 10th Crusader suffered the same fate. A poor diet played a role. Dried fruit and monotonous food caused scurvy, another scourge of the campaigns. Even the legendary Richard the Lionheart nearly died of it, losing his nails and hair. But ordinary knights like our hero had it far worse. There are records that in 1098, after capturing Mu'arat al-Numan, Crusaders resorted to cannibalism. As for common dysentery, it was everywhere. A good example is King Louis IX. His bowels tormented him so badly that the back of his trousers had to be cut off. And even if our hero survives all this, ahead of him await exhausting battles in the scorching Arabian desert. Remember the weight of armor? Now imagine plus 40 degrees Celsius around you, an enemy of another faith, and no Geneva Conventions in sight. Life was worth nothing. People were boiled in oil, tortured, executed in the most inventive ways. Scholars argue about the number of dead, but even in successful campaigns no more than 2/3 returned home. And in the worst cases, like in the Second Crusade, armies were nearly wiped out. Our knight's chance of seeing home was around 30%. But if a crusader fulfilled his vow and returned, he was welcomed as a hero. The church overlooked atrocities, for it is not sinful to judge one who served a holy cause. He would be granted land, titles, fame, and his shield would bear a cross, a symbol of courage, loyalty, and readiness for sacrifice. Even the next generation proudly bore the family title. It opened doors, helped secure a respectable position, or arrange a profitable marriage. Yet every time you dream of becoming a crusader, think not of romance, but of something else entirely. The stench inside the campaign tents, where no one had seen a proper bath since leaving Europe. The soldiers around you, half of them suffering from malaria, dysentery, and other delightful companions of war. Add to this the tiny chance of ever returning home alive, and ask yourself, is the Crusader's fate truly as alluring as it seems? Or perhaps it is far more pleasant to watch this video on YouTube, sitting in a warm, comfortable apartment, a cup of tea by your side. So tell me, would you trade the comfort of the 21st century for a sword, faith, and a road stretching thousands of kilometers? Share your thoughts in the comments, and until we meet again,